William, it's such a joy to be able to receive you for this reading today. Thank you so much for your time and your presence.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think it's such a privilege to connect with people all over the world. One of the main reasons I love doing this so much is that the heart of each of us individually really does reflect and manifest so much of what's going on for thousands and tens of thousands and millions of us around the world. So I see you as a beautiful point of reflection that I hope my audience can really see themselves in today. How does that feel for you?
That feels wonderful. I'm very grateful to be here with you. So whatever kind of reflections we can bounce off and see the light works for everybody. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, how long has it been since you've been following my work now, William?
about a year and a half. I had an extraordinarily dramatic spiritual awakening that I ascended and I came back. And when I came back, I was guided to listen to your messages. You were actually the voice of spirit for me for the first 2 months, while I realized that I was being spoken to directly and giving more clarity on my own personal journey and my purpose. And your words have resonated with me so deeply for the last year and a half, 2 years, that this is a huge honor for me. So.
Well, I feel so much love towards you right now, and I really respect the beautiful love that you're pouring in on me. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your heart. For your reading today, we're going to be looking at your spiritual gifts. We're going to be looking at your personal purpose and some of the things that you yearn for, some of the challenges that you're facing, and some of the pain from your past and guidance on the present. So let's play and see what happens.
Let's do it.
Okay, so beginning with your spiritual gifts, these are most important for me because I believe they're integral to our identity. So a lot of humans pretend they don't have spiritual gifts, and I think we can really see the damage that plays out in their lives when they're ignoring and suppressing these sacred parts of themselves. And I really honor that these gifts all feel like they're really well held within you, which is really beautiful for me. So high sensitivity, one of your gifts is really to feel very, very deeply, and this isn't very comfortable as a man. There's not a lot of social backing to be able to make the depth of feeling actually something that is permissible or acceptable, but you have done. So I'm really honoring the strength that's taken to accept your sensitivity. How do you feel when you hear me say that, William?
That resonates very deeply with me. My sensitivity has expanded so extraordinarily over the last 2 years that being here sometimes is just very uncomfortable. I've experienced the highs of highs and the lows of lows. So the expansion that's going on within me is extraordinary.
And very intense, very physically rigorous. So really witnessing that, really honoring that within you. You are an empath, so you can feel the feelings of other people within your body. Yes?
Yes.
The next gift for me, I will call the gift of prophecy. I think it's important to give it its proper name. I don't want to talk just about premonitions for you. I want to talk about the visions and the dreams that you see that let you know what's coming, William.
I do.
Holding you in a lot of love. This is really sacred right now. You're also a clairsentient, which means that when you see things in your mind, you interpret it according to the feelings in your belly. And really, you're using those two gifts together to actually gain meaning and understanding from what you're experiencing. Does that resonate?
Yes, and they've been very confusing lately because since I've been at the highs of highs, everything resonated and everything felt so good. And now that I have been where I'm at, I feel as if there is a conflict between my vision and my body sensations, and it has become very confusing for me.
Okay.
It's the indecisiveness that comes through is I'm not used to it. So,
well, let's talk about that directly straight away, because one of the big challenging aspects of being cleansentient is that our own personal emotions and the climates and events in our personal lives can cloud our ability to connect with the knowing. Like if we were on the moon looking at the planet, you know, the planet is your cleansentient knowing, and sometimes, you know, there is some cloud in the atmosphere that's preventing you from actually reaching down to discern the knowing. Does that resonate when you hear me describe it like that?
very much so.
And so I just want to comfort you that this is natural and normal, and that this is part of the human condition. There's absolutely nothing that, do you know what I mean? There's no error, there's no incorrectness or anything happening here. This is just the state of humanity, is that we phase into clarity and then we phase out into fog and we phase into clarity. So I'm sitting here in it with you, and I really think we'll move on to your purpose, because I think that's going to bring a lot more understanding to what's happening there for you. So the way that I discern purpose is by tuning into what actually has hurt you the most in the past. And it's where my gifts really awakened was sensing pain. And I've now learned that the pivotal events that really hurt our souls the most is actually there to clarify what we're here to bring to the world. And one of the first aspects that I really felt for you was that you were really left comfortless and alone in pivotal moments that were quite scary. Is this right, William?
Yes, it is. Very much so.
And so you'll notice that you have a huge desire to bring through reassurance and comfort. When you see maybe loved ones or even strangers who you can tell are distressed or confused, there's almost a compulsion within you that wants to reach out and offer hope and offer reassurance and comfort.
Absolutely.
And this is noble. This is beautiful. One of the challenges is that you have become very good at giving this to other people. I really want to honor that. I really want to witness that within you. But one of the challenges is that there's still a part within yourself that you find really hard to comfort. And
this is very true.
Yeah, and this is a big part of why I feel so privileged to stand before someone who's bringing so much beauty into the world, is that I get to now kind of take your place. Part of my role is to act as a mirror, and you can feel me comforting you. You can feel me reassuring you. And you're doing really well, just being nice and receptive and allowing yourself to take it in. And one of the things that happens in this process is that you remember how worthy of comfort and reassurance you really are. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is me just, you know, really bathing you in something that you bathe a lot of people in. Okay, and just reminding you that you are so, so worthy of this, and making your own comfort and reassurance a high priority is one of the best ways to stabilize your gifts and really strengthen yourself right now. Okay.
And I think one of my frustrations is that the environment that I've been in has been the environment to bring me back into my childhood. So I have been put in a situation where when I comfort people, the people that I'm with don't understand what I'm doing, and they make me feel quote unquote bad about what I'm doing. And so I hesitate and I don't do it, and then I resent myself for not doing it, and it becomes a vicious.
Oh, I hear you. And, you know, this was going to come in later, but let's go there straight away. That one of the, you know, points of guidance is that, you know, if I'm going to read somebody, I don't want to just read and acknowledge what's here. I kind of want to give you a little hand up and a little step up and go, okay, if you play with this for a little bit, it's really going to help you. So one of the keys that I received is to help you practice discernment. One of the challenges for you is that you're so perceptive of the doubt and concern and fear within others. I want to really relate to you that sometimes you're more aware of somebody's need of comfort and reassurance more than they are. Which is really annoying, right? Because you're like, you need this, and they're like, right, in denial, they're shut down, they're like, man, what's wrong with you, you know, and they want to project their fear onto you and make you wrong and bad. So one of the most essential parts of our purpose is that others will try to shame us for being who we are. and I can feel how incredibly loving you are, and you can feel how incredibly loving I am, but I had decades of being shamed for being this loving. Okay. And so you can feel me, I'm not holding back, and I won't hold back, but there were quite a few years of really feeling bad about that part of myself because, right, humanity judges their own loving nature. So I just want to reassure you that their truth is not your truth, and that you can back yourself in your knowing, even if they disagree or disregard you. Okay. But I really want you to practice discernment, and discernment is around receptivity. You have something very precious and very sacred, and some people can receive that from you, and it's such a win when, like, you have that opportunity, right, to invest in someone that can really receive it. And so I just want to comfort you that this is not on you. Whether they receive it or not is not indicative of the quality of what you're bringing through. It's largely based on, right, their experience, you know, where they're at in regards to trust and their capacity to acknowledge what's happening in their inner world, which, right, most of humanity likes to stay in denial because it's preferable.
Absolutely.
Right. Oh, nice. That feels really good. Any questions before we move on just here, William?
Not at this present time, no.
Great. So we'll go on to, I always like to read 3 parts of purpose. That's just the way I do it. So first one was offer reassurance and comfort. The second one, to clarify and illuminate truth. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. That's so loaded for you, hey?
Yeah, the truth of what I know, of what I experienced, have experienced, the messages that I receive, all of the above, and the comfort to do so, and the strength to do so.
Yeah, it's not easy. And I'm going to tell you the third part of your purpose because I think it's really going to bind these all together, to bridge the unseen world with the seen world.
Yes.
Right? And for me, I really like just to sit here and record all the notes for around 15 minutes before this reading, because some parts seem, right, they're a bit jagged or a little bit rough, and then when you look at them as a whole, they start to make a little bit more sense. So one of the big challenges here is that I really respect and honor that there's a part of you that would prefer to live in the other world right now rather than being here. Okay. And I'm just, you know, sending in such a big reassuring hug for you that it's really scary to admit that to ourselves, and not a lot of people can safely hear that and kind of not freak out. Hey, William.
There's a lot of pain here.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain here. And, you know, one of the big challenges is that a part of us tends to want to drift into that unseen world because there's preferable feelings there. There's clarifying insight. Kind of everything makes sense when you're really connected, when you're receiving your visions, and when you're really channeling and connecting powerfully. The emotional experience is preferable. And I want to bring comfort because my experience is similar but different. And where I kind of want to hold you in a lot of love is that the more that you can ground yourself and make yourself as comfortable and supported as possible in this world, you're going to effortlessly bring through more of the beauty and more of the harmony from the unseen world. But the desire to want to be there rather than be here is minimizing your power to channel and receive those energies here.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does, hey. And I guess I got one of the big challenges that you're facing is that the problems just seem too big, right? On the earth plane, it's like, man, it's too big. What's going down here is a nasty mess, and it just absolutely feels insurmountable, hey?
Yes, and then there's so much confusion between the comfort of being in the other dimension and then the pain of being here, and understanding that my purpose is to bring forth the truth through strength and through clarity, and the overwhelming sensitivity that I feel, and the current I'd say inability, but the unknowingness yet of how to discern my own feelings and to protect myself, to maintain my own energy field,
Yeah.
makes it more uncomfortable for me to want to relay those truths.
Completely hear you.
And the confusion is confusing.
It's so true. It can be discombobulating, right?
Not understanding which voice to listen to, not understanding, which voices are whose, and where I'm feeling what, because it becomes so overwhelming that it's sometimes it's like sitting in a bag of glass, and it's not knowing where the pain is actually coming from makes it very difficult to treat one wound at a time.
I agree, and what a beautiful poetic illustration. I'm really proud of you for articulating your experience, and I think that is really self-affirming, what you just did. I'm really proud of you, okay? And there will be people that try to dissuade you from acknowledging that that is your truth, and you are safe and free to just disregard that perspective, okay?
Okay.
I'm really listening to how overwhelming this is, and let's go straight into guidance, because that's kind of my favorite part, because it's lovely to recognize you and honor you, but I want to support you, right? To really have a safe, supportive, nurturing experience on the earth, because the more we allow you to feel safe and grounded here, the more you can rise in power and influence, which is what we want. So one of the most powerful things that we can begin to do is actually narrow our field of jurisdiction. So because we do live in such a global world where we're so perceptive of multiple countries, nations, peoples, political environments, it can be really nice to just really narrow down to your own, space, your own living space, and make sure that that is ordered and organized, and you've got everything that you need to support yourself, for example. And then once you feel safe within, right, that, say 2 meters, 3 meters, is then just start extending yourself a little bit further until you're getting into your garden, or there's a park that you can go to where when you're there you can feel really safe and supported. So it feels infantile to narrow down our realm of influence, but it's actually incredibly empowering, because first and foremost, where we have complete jurisdiction is within our own physical body, our own emotions, our own thoughts, and our own feelings. So how do you feel as I talk about just bringing in that sphere and just reducing it down as much as you can to feel safe, William?
It is more comforting. It's almost like a emotional swaddling, I guess.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
It's something that I'm in the process of doing right now, is moving again, being guided to move. I've been guided to move from the east coast of the United States to the west coast of the United States like 6 or 7 times over the last 7 months, and it's exhausting. But in order to find that safe place, so that definitely resonates with me.
Okay. So one of the big concerns is I've got so much pain in regards to feeling isolated and confused. The world can feel overwhelming and irrelevant. And one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is really think about bringing more acceptance to your own emotional world. You're facing quite a big dilemma in regards to, am I feeling the feelings of others, or am I feeling my own feelings? It's
Right.
often a dilemma you're in, hey?
Yes, and I find myself wanting to isolate because of that.
Yes.
Which is not my purpose.
Which is not your purpose, and it's kind of not supportive, because you can still feel it when they're not physically present. It's just less intense.
Correct.
I giggle my way through this, because it's kind of like, it's so uncomfortable if I can be light and jovial around it. I think it just, if we can make it a bit of a game, that the truth is, whether it's our feelings or someone else's, it's actually the same process. And what I teach and advocate is naming the feeling. So acknowledging it verbally and saying, I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And whether they're your feelings or not, what's happening is that by giving our loving attention and awareness to something, our feelings will actually minimize by sometimes 30 to 70% just by being acknowledged. Now, human behavior, right, does not model this. It's all about denial of the emotional experience, and we haven't seen this modeled around us. People don't say, oh, gee, I'm actually feeling quite confused, or gee, I feel afraid in this moment right now. Like, this is not common behavior modeled, but I want to let you know that I'm practicing it, and that when my children come to me, they're like, Mummy, there's a feeling here and I'm not sure what it is. Could you read my heart? And I say, okay, you're feeling nervous about this. And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. And they just receive it. So one of the big keys after we acknowledge our feelings and become aware is just really receive it and reassure yourself that it's natural and normal to feel whatever emotion is there. Okay. It's like with little children, we really notice that if they're really crying and we say, you know, don't be sad, they'll actually escalate, or they'll go into, you know, suppression and denial. It kind of depends on the age of the child. But a young child under 5, if you tell them to don't be sad, they'll become more sad. Whereas if we acknowledge, you know, I can see you're really sad, they'll cry for about 5 minutes, and they'll actually make a safe space for that feeling to be felt and to be received, and it will pass. And so this is one of the things I'd love to encourage you to play with, because it's going to help you to feel so much more safe here, William, is as you just acknowledge what it is. And if that feels a bit tricky, maybe writing it down so that you can isolate and then move on to the next one. But just say, William, it's so natural and normal to be scared right now. You don't actually know what's coming, and that is why you feel afraid, because there's some things in this life we don't know. Because, right, you know so much. It's a bit like, well, how come we can't pick and choose what we do know and what we don't know? Right?
Totally get that. Totally get it.
Once again, I'm jovially laughing because it's just this ironic pain in the butt. And I think it's funnier to laugh about rather than crying about together, which we could also do, but I'd rather laugh and go, this is the state for all of us, but particularly for you, you're so in tune with what is true when there's information that you don't know. Okay, that's really, really scary for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I've got what's William's strongest desire, and I just wanted to acknowledge that it's to heal the world and make it a better place.
This is correct.
And, you know, this is my thing as well. Do you know what I mean? I really do want to contribute to something beautiful on the earth. I do want to live a life that's harmonious and honorable. Okay. And, you know, the most amazing thing I can offer you today is that by really honoring yourself in a way that you've never been honored before, could feel really egocentric and really narcissistic to you. All right. Because you've been so wounded by those really ignorant, self-absorbed people. Now, my guidance for you is to counterbalance how perceptive and conscious and loving you are towards everyone else over and above yourself. Okay? And so we don't want you to be like the narcissists out there, because they don't have empathy, compassion, or care for anyone else. And that's what they need a little bit of in order to balance. Remember, narcissism is just a response to their trauma. And our response to our trauma is to make everybody else's emotions and experience more valid and important than our own. So full permission to let yourself be the sun in your own solar system. It's okay to allow everything to support you and nourish you and nurture you, okay?
Okay.
Oh, that was really delicious and beautiful. That was all the points that I covered, and what a joy to serve and connect with you today. How are you feeling here at the end of your heart reading, William?
Vindicated.
Delicious. Well, huge blessings on you. Thank you for being willing to share this with my YouTube audience. I know that your heart is a representative of so much of their experience as well. And so thank you for allowing me to serve you and love you today, in the hope that this will reach their hearts as well.
Well, thank you for doing everything that you do. You are phenomenal, and I very much honor and cherish you, as much as the rest of your YouTube audience, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, William. Bless your day.
Bless you.